Good evening and welcome to the World Online Racing League. Round 10 takes us to the Algarve circuit in Portimao, or the Portimao circuit in Algarve in Portugal, for the latest chapter in this season in Tier 3 PlayStation in the WOR. The championship was clinched 2 weeks ago by Panos Kara, so he's pretty much playing for Pride, or racing for Pride. Who will finish second to him in the Drivers' Championship? Well, that has yet to be decided because Joe Roll has managed to leap into second place with his runner-up position in Mexico. So he's ahead of Budfella, who's no longer around. Rostro not around tonight either. So it could be an opportunity. And just looking to see, is Trench around? He is. So Trench could move possibly into second place if he can take a victory here, which is unlikely. But we never know when it comes to racing. Or could SJM get in on the act in the McLaren? He is around, so something to look out for this evening. In the Teams Championship, Mercedes are ahead on 209 points. At the moment, they are 87 clear of Aston Martin. 43 points is the maximum you can score for a team. And they are already more than 2 rounds ahead, which means they can mathematically clinch the Constructors' Championship if they can be ahead by at least 129 points. So that would mean for Aston Martin to not score. And, well, that would be for Aston Martin to not score and for Mercedes to get a 1-2 finish. If they do that and Aston Martin don't score, that would be the Teams Championship wrapped up for the Silver Arrows. And from what I've been told, there's going to be a 5-minute delay to allow one of the drivers who's meant to be in the lobby but isn't in yet the opportunity to reset his internet, apparently. And if you have joined us, we do welcome you. Do make sure you get involved in the live chat, like and subscribe. World Online Racing is over 1,500 subscribers in the bag. Hopefully we'll make it to 2,000 by the time the season is done. So just run down on the schedule whilst we are waiting for some on-track action. There's the Xbox Tier 1 race that's happening tonight as well. Tomorrow there's Tiers 2, 4, 6 and 7 for Xbox. Wednesday is Tiers 3 and 5 on Xbox, and then Thursday on the same console is Tiers 8, 9, 10 and 11. Friday are the top 2 tiers of PlayStation. And then on Sunday is all 4 tiers for PC on Sunday at 7 PM. Tonight is the Tier 3 race. Do let us know who you are rooting for as the session goes on. Now, Portimao, which was added to the F1 game cycle in September, it's mostly been positively reviewed by a lot of the drivers. You need to have a good setup to get round here without spinning. Now, Panos Kara, who clinched the championship 2 weeks ago in Mexico, has finished in the top 2 in every single round this season. We'll be hoping to keep that going. The record he has had this season. Has been 4 wins and 5 second places. That's as good as he has been during the course of the season. It looks like Donny's made his way into the lobby now, so we should get underway here. Drivers are beginning to ready up, and so we should get qualifying underway here at Portimao. We'll also run through those that have been called in to race this evening, the reserve drivers, during the course of qualifying. We'll wait until the session begins and then we'll run through, because there is quite a number of them which we'll need to run through for you. It seems to be that the drivers are not quite ready enough, so I'm not sure what the issue is at the moment. So we've got virtually all the drivers ready and up now, so we should be ready to go here in Portugal. .33 laps it'll be after an 18-minute qualifying session. So the session is underway, 18 minutes, and we should expect to see some cars out onto the racetrack. We've got 4 rounds to go this season. We've got Portimao tonight, then Imola next week, Jeddah the week after on November the 29th, and then the last round of the season will be at Interlagos. So a rundown of who has been called in for where, or for who I should say. Well, Aspect, who would normally be in the Aston Martin, is replaced by Sonic Gamer, who's decided to opt out of qualifying, so he'll start at the back no matter what happens. We've also got Captain Donny, who's in the Williams, in place of Hearn, who couldn't make it tonight. Cowboy has been called in at Ferrari in place of Gold Shadow. And in the AlphaTauri, we've got Speedquin, who's been called in place of Rostro. So Robbo in the Alfa Romeo, currently 7th in the Drivers' Championship with 42 points, the best result being a third place finish in China. It takes us on a lap now. So Robbo coming out of turn 4 with the DRS open. And he'll brake for turn 5, takes a wide line on the curb to give him the best turn into the apex as possible. Past the kink of 6, and then he'll decelerate for 7. He's down to 3rd gear for turn 8. Back down the hill and through turn 9. There's a little kink of 10, and then you turn in for 11. Keeping the car within the track limits, which is crucial. Through 12, and you brake for 13, which is pretty much a hairpin. Took too much curb on the inside there, they'll have lost him some time. Through 14, and then the banking of 15. There's a Haas in the way, but it's coming to the line now, and it's a 1 minute 18.1, and Robbo goes to the top for now. Just looking to see who else is coming through. There is Joe Royal in the Alpines on the medium compound. And he goes to the top on a 1 minute 17.3. Now we've got one of the Red Bulls coming through. There is Wooly. You can see the Red Bull has reverted back to its traditional livery from the Honda Farewell design. There's Funky going 4th fastest with a 1:18.3, a whole second slower than what Joe Royal posted on the same compound. There is Nichols in the Alpha Tauri. He's in place of Rostro, my apologies. Speakman's in his permanent driver Alpha Tauri. Nichols is in place of Rostro. Dan has gone 6th on a 1:18.9 on the softs. He'll definitely want to be finding more time than that. Cowboy in the Ferrari. And towards the line, it's a 1:18.4. It's only good enough for 7th fastest. And there's Major coming out of turn 14. Down the banking of 15. He crosses over the line now, and it'll be a 1 minute 18.1. 5th fastest for him. Discots does not get a time on the body. Must have had an invalidated lap on that one. Here's Charlesy. He's coming through as well. What is this lap time going to be for him? It's a 1:18.8, only 9th with that. Sarking and Istrai are on laps. Well, Istrai was until there's see the track limits. We'll go to Sarking next. Sarking exiting turn 14. Going through 15 now. And this should be a fairly decent time for him. It's a 1:17.9. Goes 4th fastest for the Spanish driver. Cowboy enters the pit lane. Just looking to see who is on a flying lap right now. And it seems though Funky's the most likeliest of ones on a fast lap. And towards the end of sector 2 now. He's a 10th down from before. So let's see if he can find any time in the last sector. Funky coming into the pit lane. He probably knew that he wasn't going to be going faster, so rather than going round another lap, he decides to come back in. Discott's on a flying lap in the Alfa Romeo. So at the moment, it's Woolley who's fastest on a 1:16.9 on the softs. Joel second on a 1:17.3. Flynn is third on a 1:17.7. So 2 Red Bulls in the top 3 at the moment. Now, what lap time are we going to be seeing from Discott's here? I would say he could even sneak into the 1:17s if he's lucky. But he has wasted a few laps on those soft compound tyres, so that may hinder him a little bit. But it is a 1:17.7 and he goes 4th. And Speakwin. Oh, he's gone for a spin there. It's not where he wanted, so he should be able to get back onto the racetrack. Hopefully the game doesn't disqualify him. Panascara has decided to not go out on circuit, so he will be starting at the back, just as he did in Mexico City 2 weeks ago. He crashed at turn 11, which saw him start at the back and come through to win the race. SJM goes second with a 1:17.1. And it looks like one of the Hasses has gone over the line. That is this try to start a flying lap. There's Robbo in the Alfa Romeo. It looks like he exceeded track limits there, but got away with it. So Robbo, with over 9 minutes to go, can he improve on his time? He does by a 10th, and he goes 8th. There's this try in the Haas. He's hoping for a good result here today. This try, who's only collected 20 points this season, 2 of which have come in the last 6 races. That was a 9th place finish in Austin. His best result has been a 5th place finish in China. I don't think he's even on a fast lap, to be honest with you. I think he's on a prep lap, perhaps to burn off some fuel. So he'll be hoping to keep up the momentum, hopefully to get on with a decent lap here. So this is going to be his first time on the board, but it's not a representative one. Let's try through turn 4, DRS open for him. There's 3/4 of a second up from before, but we were expecting that anyway. So through turn 7, brakes for 8 before turning in. And Joe's coming in saying, what's the most difficult corner on this track? The most difficult corner would probably be turn 8, because that's where it catches a lot of people out because of its undulation as you turn in. So you need a very, very good setup to get through there very, very well. So Istrai is coming out of turn 14 through 15 onto the pit straight. And this is going to be a 1:17.3, and he goes third. That's a very nice lap there from Istrai. And Royal now goes fastest with 1:16.5, so he's managed to find a lot of time somewhere, has Joe, and that puts him to provisional pole position. Now the other Haas of Sarking is coming through, but he's not on a fast lap. We'll go back to Speakwin because he's on a set of mediums. He's probably thinking about where he wants to start the race. If he starts outside the top 10, he can, or qualifies outside the top 10, then he can start on whatever tyres he likes. So Quinn coming through the last corner of the lap, and it's going to be a 1 minute 18.4, good enough for 12th fastest. Of course, if he was to qualify on the mediums wherever he ends up in the tops, then you can start on those. Here is Donny on his first flying lap in the WOR. Good to have him around for tonight. But he seems to have left the session. There's a disconnection involved, so that's a shame. It looks like he was on a fairly decent lap before the internet decided to take its toll on him. So we've got over 5 minutes to go. Joe Roll now fastest by over 0.4 of a second ahead of Woolley in the Red Bull. SGM third for McLaren. Sarking has just gone up to fourth on a 1:17.2, displacing his teammate Istrai in fifth on a 1 minute 17.3. Flynn is sixth on a 1:17.7, half a tenth ahead of Discots in seventh place. And it's Nichols, Robbo and Major running out the top 10. Major, the highest of those who have set their best times on the mediums. Quinn could change that if you can find some more time in the last sector. .118.4 is what he posted last time, but he's ducking into the pits actually. So Charzy not on a fast lap. Neither is Trench. He's coming back into the pit lane. Robbo's on a fast lap. Discots is not, so we'll stay with Robbo for now. He's found a quarter of a second up. He's found a quarter of a second from before through the first sector alone. Let's see if you can find any more time. There's one of the Haas who's gone off the track there, and that's Sarking. I don't know if he's retired on circuit or whether he's had an accident, but either way, his qualifying session has come to a premature close. 6/10 up by sector 2 from before for Robbo, so he's potentially looking at being in the top 6 here. Maybe 5th if he's lucky. He can find another 10th in the last sector, that would put him up there. So over the line comes the Alfa Romeo. And it's going to be a 1 minute 17.1, and he goes third. Very, very nicely done there by Robbo. Discots is on a fast lap, as is, well, Major was until he made a mistake. Here is Dan, who is on a fast lap. We'll go to Discots shortly after him. Dan 3/10 up from before by sector 2. He hasn't been particularly that quick during the course of this season, to be honest with you, has Dan. He has struggled to keep up with the rest of the field. He's had some missed opportunities to get a good haul of points. Had it not been for drive-through penalties he keeps picking up whilst under the safety car. But Dan is over the line now. He improves by 0.4 and he goes up to 14th. Discots is next behind. He improves his time, but by how much? 0.3. So he stays. He goes up to P7. Flynn down to P8. And there's Cowboy, who is on a fast lap. He's a 10th and a half up through sector 1 alone. Estrais decides to retire from the session as well. So Major still the fastest out of those on the mediums. Cowboy only 300ths up by sector 2. Less than 2 minutes to go, and Cowboys exceeded track limits at turn 14. And not only does that ruin that lap, but the next one as well. Funky in the Mercedes on the soft compound tyre. He posted his best time on the medium previously, so he's expected to be going faster by quite some margin from last time. So these are the last laps of which these drivers are going to be setting now. We're coming into the last minute of qualifying. What's Funky's times like? By sector 2. Half a second up from before. So potentially looking to displace Flynn. These are the slower corners where you can definitely find most of the time at when you're on the softer rubber. So let's see if Funky can use that to his advantage. It looks like he dropped it there, but that was actually a glitch. But Funky is coming over the line now. And it's a 1:17.5, and he goes up to 8th place. Quinn goes up to 9th with that lap of his on a 1:17.6. Flynn is on a fast lap. Royal's last lap is done, to be honest with you. So just looking to see who else is on a fast lap. I think Nichols is on a flying lap. He's coming through now. Royal stays out of the way. He's not going to be improving. Nichols is going to improve. He goes up to 6th. With a 1:17.3. We've got an Alfa Romeo crossing over the line. Discots improves to 6th. What about Flynn? Goes up to 4th place with a 1:17.1. There's an Aston Martin over the line as well. I think that's Trench, who only manages 16th. And it wasn't even a representative time. And Willie's gone fastest on a 1:16.4. Over 200ths of a second faster than Royal. And it looks like Woolley has snatched it right at the death. SJM is in the gravel trap. I don't think any of the others are improving on their fast lap times. So Woolley will start the Portuguese Grand Prix from pole position for Red Bull. Royal will be alongside him in P2, and it's Robbo ahead of Flynn and SJM. Sarking, Discots, Nichols, Istrite and Funky running out the top 10. All of them have set their times on the soft compound, so all the others can start the race on whatever dry compound they wish. So Woolley will be very happy with that one. Can he convert that into the race victory? He came in as a late entry into the championship. I think it was the Austrian round 5 that was. He's collected 39 points with a 3rd place in Austin and 2 4th places at Silverstone and Mexico City. He's on pole here, but can he convert that into the race victory? So here's your grid order. Woolley on pole, Joe Roll alongside, and it's Robbo and Flynn on row 2. SJM and Sarkin make up the 3rd row ahead of Discourse and Nichols, Istrite and Funky running out the top 10. Quinn and Major make up row 6 ahead of Cowboy and Dan. Charlesy and Trench are on the 8th row ahead of Sonic Gamer, Flying Karat, Panaskara and Donny, who did not set lap times. That was qualifying. We go on to the race. We'll be back very shortly. Welcome back. We're ready to go for the start of this Portuguese Grand Prix. There'll be a formation lap, so a chance for us to go through who is starting on whatever tyre compound. So the top 10 are all starting on the softs because that's what they qualified on. Major, Dan, Charlesy, Trench and Sonic Gamer are doing the same. All the others are on mediums, including Quinn, Cowboy, Flying Karat, Panaskara and Donny. So there's Woolley. generating some temperature into those tyres and brakes. And it looks like that Donny has not got off the grid. Now, if he doesn't get a move on, he may well be disqualified at the end of this race. Now, it's a good job he's starting last, because if he ends up stalling, or if he started further up the grid, he could have hindered other drivers' race, and that's not really fair on them to suffer. But we'll see what happens. Any news on Donny, then do please let me know. So Wooly's coming round now. So can Wooly take his first victory in the WR, or can Panaskara complete another one of those comeback drives? And take victory himself. And Joe's coming in asking, is there an optimum tyre strategy for this track? And the answer to that question is probably going to be the softs and then the mediums, although it just depends on where you are on circuit. So all the cars are back on the grid now, and we're ready to go for this 33-lap Portuguese Grand Prix in Portimao. Wooly in the Red Bull on the right, Joe Royal in the Alpine on the left. I'm just looking to see what Donny's up to here, because his car is on the grid. We should be ready to go now, to be honest with you. Hopefully we're not going to be seeing any more delay. And the last thing we want really is and I think Donny's car is actually moving now, so I think what this means is we're going to have to wait about a minute and a half for Donny to get round in time. He's left the session. We could see him back in the car, or take control of that Williams, when the race does get underway again. And Donny's just gone through turn 8 now, so it's going to feel like an eternity for the other drivers on track. Now, if we can get a clean... I think the game has decided to kick me out of the lobby, which is a bit of a total shame, but the race is back underway now with Wooly leading, with Joe Royal alongside in second place. He's through. So Royal into the race lead, going into turn 1, ahead of Wooly. And look at Robbo, who's made a great start as well in the Alfa Romeo. He's through into the lead, coming out of turn 3. Now, he did go off track to make that move, so one of the stewards may look at it afterwards, and this Carnage further back. It looks like one of the Aston Martins and the Haas spinning round as well, so there's going to be plenty of pit lane activity at the end of lap 1, with Royal in front, Robbo second, Wooly down to third for Red Bull. That's not a good start for him. Fed of Flynn and Nichols, who's up to fifth. Major Sarking, SGM, who's made a really terrible start. He was running in, I think it was in the top 3 on the grid. He's fallen down to 8th place. Discott's 9th, and Sonic up to 10th after starting from the back of the grid. Panaskara up to 11th also for Mercedes. I think he's just got through on the Aston Martin as well, so Panaskara on a charge. It doesn't look as though he's got front wing damage, but we know there's going to be some ducking into the pits at the end of lap 1 to get new front wings fitted. So Robbo right behind Royal as they come towards the end of lap 1. So Royal ahead That fastest lap is going to come down. We've only done one lap. And it looks like someone has had a moment somewhere. Don't know who that is. Oh, and virtual safety car's been deployed. Not sure what that is all about. Sonic Gamer's had a moment. He needs to duck into the pit lane, as does this try. So 4 drivers in the pits for new front wings, and the VSC has been deployed. So it'll give those time. At least it's less time wasted for these guys pitting in, unlike in green flag conditions. Funky leaving his box. Sonic Gamer as well. It's a shame for Sonic Gamer because he made a brilliant getaway up to 10th at one point. So it's right leaving the pits now as well. Now there are 2 drivers with penalties so far. Sarkin's got 10, as does Funky, so they'll have to take those at their next pit stops. They can only serve 5 seconds at each pit stop, so they may decide to pit in twice. Well, the race should get back underway now any moment. Royal in front. Robbo in P2. And there's Wooly, and as you can just see, Nichols thinking about a move there. Oh, and drivers have now been given drive-through penalties. They are Trench and Sarking, so they'll have to pit in within the next 3 laps to take those drive-throughs. And there's Donny on the inside of Dan, who runs wide at turn 1. Donny is able to get back through. There's 2 Ferraris behind that. And there's your queue. And the DRS has been enabled, so anyone within the second of the car ahead at the detection point can use the DRS. There are 2 on this track, 1 on the pit straight, 1 in between turns 4 and 5. And there's Wooly behind as Major goes for a spin and rejoins. I hope he didn't use the resets chat tool. That is forbidden as far as I know, but I could be wrong. Flying Correct dive into the inside of Major. Major fights back though. Major fights back and keeps hold of his 10th place and the final points paying position. Now Wooly is behind Robbo, so they come round to complete lap 3. Wooly will have the DRS. Royal posts a new fastest lap. And Panaskara has taken that away. There's no points on offer for the fastest lap in the WOR. So Panaskara on a charge in the Mercedes in 8th. There's SJM in front. It looks like Flying Carrot has gone off the track at turn 1. Rejoins without any more drama, but he's down to 16th. Now Wooly wasn't able to get in front of Robbo on this occasion. So Sarking will be pitting in for a drive-through over the end of this lap or the one after. And if I was him, I'd take it as soon as possible in case there's a safety car. So Sarking he's taking his drive-through penalty now as we watch Panaskara line up a move on SJM, and he's going to go through and up to 6th place now. Trench also in to serve a drive-through. I think they'll rejoin in 15th and 16th places will Sarking and Trench. That's a bad dent to their race, is that? So Woolley. Let's get back through as this try gets the time penalty for track limits. Dan has also got the same. So Woolley thinking about a move on Robbo. There's no way through. And it looks like is that no, it's Sarking that's gone for a spin at turn 8. Gets back on track though, behind Trench. He'll be behind Discots as well, no question. Here's the battle for second place because Woolley is going to pull alongside the Alfa Romeo and goes through. So Woolley into second. There's Flynn in 4th, Nichols 5th, Panaskara in 6th. Looking very strong once again is the Mercedes driver and the champion. And Major with a time penalty as well for track limits. And someone's gone off in sector 1. That's one of the Ferraris. It's Charlesy who has spun this time. Has he sustained any damage? Not on the right-hand side, but what about the left-hand side? Seems to be okay at the moment. And there's Royal still leading. On lap 6. And is that Charles who's gone off track again? I think it is. And he's just letting the whole field by, and I don't understand why he's done that. And he's got himself a time penalty as well for track limits, which is very harsh. Now he's got to be careful not to be dawdling around here because he needs to make sure he keeps his driving standards intact. I think we're going to see Charlesy out of the race, to be honest with you. So Robbo in 3rd place, trying to get back that second position. It looks like Donny's got in front of Speakwin here for a moment before Speakwin made the move stick. Donny to the outside of the AlphaTauri. Does he go through? Quinn leaves him just about enough space. He ran him out wide. Ooh, contact made. Needs to be careful to Speakwin not to turn on him in too much. But Donny's through and up to 9th position. Speakwin. DRS open. No way through there for Robbo as Major comes into the pits. It's quite early to be pitting in at this point, only 7 laps in. I would imagine Major will just go onto the hard compound if he wants to go to the end of the race. And it looks like Charlesy's gone off in the Ferrari, and that's his front wing gone. Virtual safety car deployed. Now, I hope he didn't do that on purpose, because if he did, there could be a penalty coming his way afterwards. Trench in the pits as well. Needs to be careful that Charlesy doesn't exceed the delta here. So we have our second virtual safety car of the race. Now I wonder if this will be the time for Royals to think about pitting. Virtual safety car still deployed. Could he decide to take the opportunity to come in for a pit stop at the end of this lap? He doesn't come in, neither does Woolley. Robbo stays out as well, Flynn as well. And Nichols is coming in for a pit stop now. And someone's gone off in sector 1. Is that Charlesy again, who's continuing to have his own maladies? It is. He's been dreadful tonight, it has to be said. And Charles is just dawdling around now. And he's left the session, which you're not really supposed to do. You're supposed to retire in the pits and then go. But he just decided to leave the session and allow his car being controlled by the AI, which I think is something which needs looking at. So we're on lap 9. Royal leads ahead of Woolley in second place. Robbo third. Flynn ahead of Panoscara, who is now up to 5th on the medium compound. So we're expecting to go very long here. And he'll have more pace in him now at this stage as those on the soft compound start to fall away. And there should be a slam dunk manoeuvre here for Panoscara. Rear wing open now. And he'll sail past the Red Bull of Flint. And that's 4th place going to him. There is Dan into the pits for McLaren. That allowed Discots and Sarkin to go through. So Dan exits the pits in 19th. Donny now gets a time penalty for track limits. Just notice that Robbo has a penalty as well to his name. As Panoscara has managed to conserve a lot of his ERS very, very well. So Royal, who's tasted victory already this season in Japan. It's looking very good here. And one of the AlphaTauris is off the track. Is that Speedquin? It is. I don't know how on earth he's managed to go off that far. He's back on track now in 10th place, just ahead of his teammate who's just received a time penalty for track limits. So Panoscara behind the Alfa Romeo of Robbo. So Panoscara, rear wing open. Down the inside, does he? Not into turn 1, that would have been far too risky. So he waits behind. Nice again. Best drive coming out of turn 3 than the Alfa Romeo. He won't go for it into turn 5, I don't think. So we're coming towards the leaders on the softs. So think about pitting them. We've had some already in the pits for change of tyres. Now who's going to blink first here? Will it be Royal coming in? Or will it be Woolley? Now you would think Royal would be the first of the leaders in, considering the gap he's got. But we'll wait and see. He doesn't pit in this lap. Robbo does, though. Which will allow Panoscara to go after Woolley. So the mediums will go on the Alfa Romeo. Donny goes through, Cowboy will go through, Flying Croat will go through. So there is Robbo exiting the pits now, and he'll be behind Flying Croat. He'll be ahead of Speakwin though, who's just been overtaken by Nichols. So Royal leads. And Royal enters the pits from the race lead. Panascara is going to go past Woolley here with the DRS. So we have a familiar name at the head of the field. Flynn is also in for Red Bull. Now where is Robbo? Because he's behind Nichols at the moment. He's lost time on this lap actually as Robbo. He's on the hard compound, which is surprising. I'd have thought he'd have gone on to the mediums. And it looks like Dan has got off the track at turn 8. It's continued. So Royal has rejoined ahead of Robbo by quite some margin here. So Panascara leads the Portuguese Grand Prix. Looking very, very good for the victory. So Sarking exits in 18th as well. He's just coming for his first scheduled stop. Panascara continuing to stretch the margin and post a knee fast as that woman 18.8. There is Joe Royal behind Cowboy. He'll have the DRS as SJM pits in for McLaren. And there's Dan just staying out of the way of the leaders by the looks of things. He's had another race to forget tonight. He's had a pretty poor season, it has to be said, for Dan. Six points, which 2 of them coming in Bahrain, 4 in that race of attrition at Spa. Royal is now ahead of Cowboy into 4th place on the road. Now Robbo will be looking to get in front of Nichols here. Now Woolley is in P2. Decides to stay out there for another lap. Wonder how far he can take these soft compound tyres. And Cowboy into the pits for Ferrari. He decides that he's had enough of the mediums and he'll go onto the hard compound to finish the race on. We have 20 cars still running, albeit Charles's Ferrari is controlled by the AI. Let's try going to the outside there. They've exceeded track limits going that way. That far out onto the curb. Ooh, nearly contact with Cowboy. He's tried an audacious manoeuvre. The Cowboy was able to retain the position ahead. Now I think Woolley will be ducking into the pits at the end of this lap. He does so at the end of lap 16. Gets the car slowed down in time. It's an 80 km/h speed limit here in Portimao. Now Donny will go past him. Now Joe Roll is one to look out for here. He'll most certainly get in front of Woolley here, who's stayed out there for too long. Can he get out in front of Flying Carrot? Well, Flying Carrot's coming into the pit lane. Nichols, he might lose a position too. He's coming into turn 1 now, and he's ahead of Nichols, luckily for him. But Woolley's lost a lot of time. He's 6.5 seconds behind Royal in the fight for what could be the race victory later on. There's Panascara having all the track position he needs. Whilst he's continuing on his way on the mediums, he will be pitting in later on. The same thing for Donny, who's done very well to get himself up into P2. So Sonic Gamer is in for another change of tyres. So Sonic Gamer stays out of the way of the leader. But I'd imagine that Sonic Gamer on the fresher tyres will be closing right back up on him. So on lap 18, we're into the second half of this race now. Panascara looking very good with the gap he's got. And I think with the gap that he has over Woolley, who's in 4th place, 29 seconds. Will that be enough for Panascara to get out ahead of him? If so, then that could really see him close right up on Royal in the closing stages on the soft compound. Escorts into the pits for Alfa Romeo. He'll rejoin probably behind Sarking, who's coming down the pit straight. So Robbo's behind Nichols, right behind him again. I think Robbo's tyres will be in better condition now than Nichols' mediums that are 8 laps old. So this will give him a chance to close right back in on the AlphaTauri and make a move. Sector 1, there's one of the McLarens going off track. That's Dan once again. Cowboy passing Flying Crap for 12th. And Dan's just staying out of the way of the rest of the field. Major's got a front of Quinn as well for 7th. And there's Discords in 17th place behind Sarking. Some pressure tyres than he is. So Panascara continuing to lead out in front. And Dan is just continuing to spin round in the McLaren. It's painfully embarrassing to see him spinning round so many times. Just can't keep his composure in check. So is Panascara going to take a 5th victory of the season? Sequence in the pits now for AlphaTauri. I would think he'll go on to a set of the softs. He'll have to do the remaining 14 laps on those, which is doable. There's Panascara still leading away. Can afford to go a few laps longer on those mediums and come in. There's Royal behind Donny now in the fight for second. It's important that Royal gets in front of Donny here, for the sake of battling out with Panascara for the race lead. Well, Donny's in now. Royal will have the DRS to gain that a little bit of an advantage, and Donny's gone into the pits too quickly. That's 5 seconds, unfortunately, for him. I think he's on 8 seconds worth now. He is. That damages his hopes of finishing in the top 10. And rejoins just behind SJM in 9th. He's on better tyres though, so he should be able to dispose of SJM as soon as possible. There is Robbo down the inside of Major for 5th place. That move was backfired, and Flynn nearly ran into him as they were turning out of the corner. Panascara 22.5 seconds ahead in the lead. We're now on lap 22. There's a yellow flag somewhere, but that seems to have gone away very quickly. And it looks like Donny's got in front of SJM now for 8th place. But can Donny pull away though? Because the DRS zone is on the pit straight. He needs to be well clear of SJM. Coming out of the hairpin that they're coming to now. Now Flynn is right behind Robbo here. He's not able to get past him on this occasion. Funky in the pits now for Mercedes. I think Panascara will probably stay out for another lap just so that he doesn't get held up by his teammate in the pits. And down as no, it's SJM who's spun off this time in the McLaren just before turn 8, but has continued. Dan with another time penalty for track limits, takes his total to 12. So as it stands with the penalties, I think the biggest change is going to be Major dropping down 2 positions to Robbo and Flynn. Well, Major's in the pits now actually for his 2nd stop. And Donny posts a new fastest up of the race, 1 minute 18.5, so he's setting some good pace actually in the Williams. Another set of the mediums going on, which is quite a surprise. I would have thought it had gone into the softs. Cowboy goes through. Quinn will probably go through as well. So Major rejoins in 12th place. Panascara pits in now at the end of lap 23. Now Royal's coming through turn 13. He's leaving the pits now on the soft compounds. Royal is coming through turn 15 now. It's going to be very close here. I think Panascara may get out in front of the Alpine. He's just behind him, but he'll be on much fresher tyres. So it won't be too long before Panascara is on the tail of the Alpine. Nichols into the pits for the 2nd time. And now we can see Flynn looking to have a go. He's out of his ERS, but he's still got the DRS which he can use. To the outside he goes into turn 1. Robbo runs out wide. Keeps hold of the position, which the stewards may have a say on that afterwards. He did go off the track to keep hold of his position. Flynn may get him on this back straight though. DRS open. And I think he's been allowed through by Robbo. So there are the leaders. Panescara on much better tyres. More pace. And this should be him going back into the race lead with 9 laps remaining. And I don't think Joe will have too much to fight with, to be honest with you. He knows he just doesn't have the pace right now. Rear wing open. So, didn't take long for Cara to get back in front. That's the difference of having new tyres. You don't need a strategist to tell you that. So Woolley looks to be safe in 3rd place. Flynn, with the penalty that he's got, should keep hold of 4th, ahead of Robbo. Donny with his 8-second time penalty. He wouldn't lose any positions as it stands, but he won't be gaining any. And even if he was to get in front of both Flynn and Robbo, he'd need to pull out a 5-second margin on him to keep hold of 5th, or 4th I should say. As Cowboy gets muscled out there by Speedquin at turn 3. And Quinn is through into 10th place. SJM now with a time penalty for track limits. So that leaves only, at the moment, I think 4 drivers who don't have a penalty at all. As Sonic Gamer comes into the pits, Panescara with a new 5. So from the back of the field, Panescara is leading out front. On course for 5 wins. Or making it 5 wins from 10 races. Showing everyone why he is the champion. And he'll be looking towards next season where he'll be in the 2nd tier, most certainly. Nichols passes Flying Car up for 7th place on the road. Cowboy with another time penalty now. That's his 3rd of the race. And through all this, I think Trench is going to gain quite a number of positions with the drivers with penalties, so he could sneak into the top 10 once all the penalties have been applied. He is on old mediums at the moment though, so he's going to find it tough to make his way through the field from there. So 3 drivers have been lapped in this race. They are Sonic Gamer, Dan and Charzy. Panescara extending the gap over Royal to 4 seconds. And SJM has gone off the track, I believe. Or is that one of the Red Bulls? I think Woolley's gone for a spin at turn 1 and he's lost a lot of time. So that's given Flynn a chance, although Woolley still looks good to be finishing on the podium. Donny's got past Robbo now for 5th place on track. Quinn now ahead of Major in the fight for 9th. Six laps remaining. And Nichols is out of the race for AlphaTauri. I don't know how he's managed to do that. And now we've got a safety car. Would you believe it? I don't know how Nichols managed to do that. That was on the exit of turn 8. On the right-hand side, he's parked. And Dan's been penalised for speeding onto the safety car. Not for the first time this season. That's at least 3 races this year that he's been caught out by that. He just doesn't learn. Absolutely does not learn one bit. And see all the other drivers coming in. It'll be the soft compound that will all pretty much go on. Robbo's gone out on the sets of mediums though. Now what will Pascara decide to do here? Because it wasn't too long ago since he came in for the soft compounds. So Nichols becomes the first retirement of this race. Crashing out on lap 27. Miles running up there in the points. So soft tyres going on for Pascara. Royal will do the same. He's long way ahead of Woolley actually, so this should be no problem for him whatsoever. And I would say the safety car will remain out there for 3 laps, so it could well be a 2-lap shootout to the finish. That will make Pascara's life a little bit less comfortable. Definitely a lot less comfortable now. So Pascara is your race leader with Royal in second. Both have caught up to the safety car. Woolley in third, Major fourth, Robbo fifth, Flint sixth. Then it's Donny, Discords, Flying and SJM in the top 10. This is bad news for Major actually with the timing of the safety car, because he's got a 9-second time penalty. And depending on what happens to the restart, he could well drop down the order, possibly out of the points. We're on lap 30, 4 laps to go. And depending on how quick the field are getting round and catching up, they could. The safety car might be able to come in at the end of this lap. Probably won't, to be honest with you, but you never know. Sarkin getting a time penalty for track limits. So the safety car continuing to tour around. It looks as though that Dan and Funky have caught up to the back of the field almost, so the safety car, I think, is going to be coming in at the end of this lap. We'll just wait for confirmation from race control. And then so it is. So it's going to be a 3-lap shootout to the finish. So this Panos Carrera will allow the safety car to pull away and duck into the pit lane. And then we should be in for a brilliant finish to the end of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Panos Carrera is still going for his 5th win of the season. And he's decided to go now. Panos Carrera leaving the field for dead, I should say. There is Major, who's got Robbo behind him, who's going for a move. Can't quite make the move stick through there. And there's Flynn as Robbo goes to the inside. He thought about a move there on Major into turn 3. Major holds him off for now. Now can he get him back on the inside into turn 5? Doesn't quite do so. There's a jostling for position as Trench gets through on SJM, who's dropped back. And now Cowboy is going through in the Ferrari. And Donny's through past Flint. So Donny on a charge, but he's got too much wheel spin on the exit of turn 8. Caught it in time though. And it looks like Speakwin has dropped back. There was a bit of contact further behind. And Funky looks to get in. Trench in 8th place. Could be finishing high as 4th as it stands. And there's no DRS for the first 2 laps of the restart, so it will be on the last lap where DRS can be used, albeit pretty much on the back straight between turns 4 and 5. Robbo wants to get on with this here. He's got Major in front who's weaving around, which you're not really supposed to do. And Donny gets another time penalty for track limits, so that will curtail his chances of a points haul today. Flying Crack going off the racetrack. Speakwin. Flying Crack's got damage to the front wing, so that'll be him dropping down the order. Panos Carrera still leading, 1.3 seconds in front. And there's Robbo dropping back. He's lost 2 positions there to Donny and Flynn. What can Donny do with Flynn here? Not too much, to be honest with you. Flynn gets another time penalty for track limits. He's now on 6 seconds worth. Donny to the inside. That's a very nice move there from Donny, but he's gone far too deep. And Flynn's back through again. There is Trench in 8 on the road. Could well be 4th by the end of this race. Just needs to keep his car out of trouble here. Panos Carrera posting a new fastest lap as he starts the final lap of this Grand Prix. DRS enabled now as well. Oh, you can see Donny to the outside. Oh, Flynn. Does Flynn leave enough space? He does. But he's going to leave himself vulnerable to Robbo, who may lunge down the inside into 3. There's wheel-to-wheel contact, but nothing wrong with that. And now it looks like Trench is going to fight his way through. Robbo's through past Flynn. But Flynn's fighting back on the inside. Trench may decide to go for it on these 2. He can't afford to be losing too much time if he wants to be finishing in the top 4. And that's Robbo spinning round. So Robbo's spun on the last lap. Needs to be careful. He does not rejoin into the path of other drivers. He stays out of everyone's way. But that's his chances of a points finish pretty much gone now. We'll go back to the leader because Panos Carrera is about to take yet another victory this season. It's high fives all round for Panos Carrera, already crowned champion 2 weeks ago. He wins the Portuguese Grand Prix in Portimao in Tier 3 PlayStation in the WOR. So he takes it in the end. Royal finishes 2nd. Woolley is 3rd. And I think Trench should be 4th once the penalties have been applied. So he is 4th. Flynn is 5th. Had a Major and Donny. SJM's moved up to 6th as a result of the penalty. So he is 6th. Major 7th. Donny 8th. Discot's 9th. Robbo does get a point after all that. Speedquin will be 11th, ahead of Cowbite and Sarking. Flying Carrot is 14th, ahead of Funky. Istrai spun round on the last lap. He will be 16th. Sonic Gamer down a lap in 17th place. Charzy, who was controlled by the AI, in 18th place. Dan, 19th. Another disappointing race for him, with Nichols the only driver to not finish. There's Panaskara collecting the winner's trophy. And he'll be very, very happy with that. So here's your final race result. Panaskara wins. That's win number 5 of the season for him. Joe Roll 2nd, ahead of Wooly 3rd. Trench 4th, ahead of Flynn, SJM, Major. Donny finishing 8th from the back. That's not too bad of an effort from him. Discot's 9th, and Robbo collecting the last point in 10th. Quinn missing out on points in 11th, ahead of Cowboy and Sarking. Flying Karat in 14th place, ahead of Funky and Istrai. Sonic, Charzy, and Dan were the rest of the finishers. Nichols was the only driver to not finish. So nothing too much to say in regards to the championship. Panaskara extends his lead at the top, knowing he is already crowned champion. Jorval has extended his margin over some of the others in the fight for second in the championship. The next round will be in Jeddah next week. I thought it was Imola to begin with, but in fact it is Jeddah next week, which has only just been released today, so we cannot wait for that one. Same time next week, 8 p.m. Cans, and I'll speak to you again soon when the WOR returns.